Hi, this is a new video. Today is Wednesday the 3rd of February 2016. It is currently 17:54 CET. It's one of these several topics videos again. And before we start with the topics, I want to mention a wonderful little thing that happened today. On my way home from that stupid unemployment course, I was given a €2 coin as donation, unasked for. I wasn't panhandling or anything. I took the subway home from Meidling-Bahnhof to Alt-Erla, U6, but I got out at Schöpfweg first because I scanned the trash bins there at the station for something to drink and actually found a half-filled bottle of iced tea. When the next thing you know is a foreign lady, non-ex-Austrian, I don't know where she was from, she practically spoke no German, in a wheelchair, an electric wheelchair, and a little younger than me, that woman, drove up to me saying something that I didn't understand and held out her hand with a €2 coin. And at first I thought she was panhandling, and I said sorry. And then she said something more and shoved this at me until I figured that she actually meant to give me the €2, and I assumed that she saw me, look shit up in the trash and figured, the poor man. So I bring this up because there is a chance that it was a wonderful case of mankind rearing its beautiful head for a change. At the same time though, realist that I am, and considering what else is going on also at that course with people there, magnificent shit going on there. I don't want to go into that because it's just pointless and tasteless and in vain with what the ex-Austrian filth has pulled in the past, but there is a chance that that woman was parked there, so to speak. And why? Because I mentioned in a few videos back how if I find cigarettes, that is not payment. And I mentioned how nobody comes up to me, hands me those or something. So there is a chance that they might try to work that into, well, she went up to you and she handed it to you and you took it. Now, that is not payment either. That is a woman who donated €2 to me, either by her own free choice, if she was not mind-fucked by the filth here in Austria or elsewhere, in which case it is a completely innocent donation, or she was mind-fucked to do that. And as such, I still consider it a donation, but by her, not by the fucking filth. Okay? So even that does not count as me accepting anybody's payment or something. I accepted €2 from a woman who didn't even speak German and sat in a wheelchair, who apparently felt compelled to give €2 to me because I was looking for shit in the trash. There. That €2 coin, incidentally, had, they all have different tales, really. And that one was one from Baden-Württemberg, which I had never seen before hereabouts, actually. There is a chance that that too points towards the ex-Austrian filth working direction, because, they might try to get me to, yeah, but what about Rhineland? I mean, we figured Altland and we figured Norddeutschland, what about Rhineland, and so on and so forth. I'm gonna bite, so to speak. Sorry. But that just as a little apropos nothing comment. Good thing is tomorrow I'll get my unemployment money. Bad thing is practically nothing will be left after I pay all the bills, but that's okay. So let's get to the actual topics. Just a couple of things. First of all, I was going through, actually this was back already when, even before I recorded the video where I showed the proof, all the form sheets that I got at the Coquel station. I was thinking about that chipped word of theirs. And I was going through my emails and I found from the 31st of December 2015, hence from before I tried to go to London, a video. It is Verlautbarung number 112 to be precise, sent at 3:53 on 31st of December 2015, where there's a sentence in the passage at Prince Charles, blah 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 blah. And yes, that does include Harry and most probably William, even though you tricked them probably into not chipping your genes into William. And here it says chipping. But what it says is chipping your genes into William. And what that means is to chip something in. I am familiar with the verb to chip something in as in to contribute to something in a small extent. That is something completely different from the verb chipping, as in putting some fucking chip into your body or something. What I was talking about there is that Harry hands down is multi-fathered, and I could imagine that William should have been, but Charles lied his ass out of it and just kept some people believing that he contributed to the multi-fathering of, if such occurred, of William even though he didn't. Because as I said, William is not all by Charles. Harry is multi-fathered. To what extent he's a freakazoid in the sense that they gave him, it's not a bug, it's a feature, down the various defects that I touched on. I don't claim to be able to tell from here, right? But my using the word chipping is clearly not at all in a context of putting a chip into something, but to chip something in. Okay? And that is the only time and the only place where I ever used chipping. And it is a verb, not a noun. I want to point that out. Just in case the fucking up says, well, look at this, he used the fucking word himself and then he says he does not know what the word means. In the context that I talked to the fella there at the Coquel station, and the way he used that word as a noun, chipping as a process, I did not know what the fuck he was talking about. Period. I want that explained just to take some wind out of sails that the fucking upbound might want to set. Sorry. So there's that. This is just a wee little topic. Another little topic, why not more fuss of the day? And fuss is not F-U-Z-Z, it's F-A-S-S with an exclamation point behind, which is the command with which you sick a dog at someone. I had a few males fuss of the day. Why not more of them? Several reasons, because the vast majority of them were found after 3 consecutive clicks on the fucking internet, and really if anybody felt like attacking something, they should be able to do that. If no other things than the several such that I have pointed people out to in my emails. Okay? Add to that the fact that with some of them, like that bakery rebirth shit, for example, it isn't just one case, it's an entire industry that I sicked people at, so to speak. Or at least hypothetically, because apparently nothing happens, no one gives a rat's ass. But what I mean to say is that those fuss of the days alone that I supplied to you so far should suffice to keep you very, very busy. That you choosing not to be busy on them, I take note of. Moreover, I am getting wicked sick torture again. I am getting all manners of ridicule again. And in addition to that, not just does that keep me busy, so to speak, anyhow, but I'm also kindly uninvited from going to seek more fuss of the days, so to speak, which I could override if I felt that it made much point. But right here at this point in the current situation as it presents itself, I gave you a few. Some of them, like that rebirthing shit, would have kept all agencies you have in America busy for the next few months, but you don't give a rat's ass. I take note of that. So to a certain extent I figure, why should I even bother? I do want to point out that hypothetically I could just start looking for fuss of the days again, and I would find them very quickly. Because literally some of them manifested and became obvious 3 clicks through the internet. But just as some people are wondering on that. Another thing, as I also mentioned, they want me to diversify the topics so that it's all kinds of topics, and I have pretty much resisted that, which wasn't really hard to resist because they didn't force this to me. They're just more like, sneering way, just talk about more shit, just even more shit, give them even more shit. That's just the kind of invitation that I get. Here is one that I will bring up, namely the weather. Is it true that they manipulate the weather? To which the answer is yes and yes. Because they manipulate the weather in two different ways. And the second is really the more important one. First of all, they manipulate the weather. But what they do there beyond is they manipulate the weather data. And I can give you an ultra-precise specific example for that, namely the amounts of lightning striking down in, say, Vienna here. For years now, years, okay? Easily 5 years. They're beyond, most probably. 6, 7 maybe, but especially for 5 years. So longer back than the hot phase. 1, 2, 3 years prior to that already. There are practically no real thunderstorms happening over Vienna anymore. And I assure you that is not global warming. Now if you ask the fellas right behind First Vienna Football Club Stadium, where is the weather, who about the weather station in Vienna, they will say, well, what are you talking about? Well, look how many lightning bolts struck down, like right in his neighborhood, the fuck, over the last year. Like, they didn't. They hack, they don't have to hack even, they just, you know, they just connect to the individual counting stations of lightning strikes and just fake the data there. So that to them, at Huawei, it seems like everything was perfectly normal. Because they're sitting in front of the fucking office the whole day. They're not out of a notepad counting strikes or something, lightning strikes. Yeah. I assure you, we have not had a real thunderstorm with real severe thunder. Like, it was perfectly normal until a few years ago, for a few years now. Ultra specific example. And back to what they do, namely the weather manipulation. How severe can they pull that? I don't know. But at the end of the day, weather is just weather. And unless you are near a coast, at the end of the day, it is just weather. I completely and utterly fail to comprehend how anybody out there can say, oh, it's pointless trying to fight against fake Monday because they even control the weather. So what? So fucking what? Yeah, they give floodings to a few countries for pedagogic purposes, I guess, you know. And of course, they work to some clienteles that they've been bad, you know, and God gave them that. And to others, yet it is a magic spell put on it, or whatever the crap. Well, it's just physical manipulation of the weather. But it's just fucking weather. Okay, I have commented on a YouTube video somewhere, Feuerwerksmusik. I'm not sure, you know, I mentioned yesterday, yesterday it was, I mentioned yesterday how they changed my comment under the Gene Stealer video from Space Hog and so on. I don't know if they they changed my comment there. I don't know if they bothered changing other comments I left on eBay to completely not at all make sense or thwart whatever sense it originally made or whatnot. But I commented on beneath some firework music that this was back when Scotland, for the most part, had a bit of flooding recently. I mentioned to them that, and this was before all of Albion was declared prime enemy of mankind, I would also like to point it out. I mentioned to them how you're not going to get rid of Scotland just by sending rain their way. They're not going to be very impressed. And I mentioned that London will not be very impressed by fireworks. And with that I mean their spongy fake meteor shit. Okay? I talked in emails technically how that shit is done. Right? So that on the weather topic. Yes, they do, get over it. It's just weather. For fuck's sake. But for me, most important is the fake lightning counts. Because apparently, you know, there must be a reason for that. You know? And the reason is most obviously that a real thunderstorm with real lightning would severely fuck up whatever fields they have placed. And that is why they prevent that. Right? That is really the only aspect as a weather manipulation that I give a rat's ass about. Because this pertains to the technologies that they use. in, for the inhumane technologies. Whereas giving some country floods and shit like that is just, eco-terrorism, call it that. But that's all it is. It does not as such pertain to inhumane technologies. But preventing true, real lightning in its natural frequency and number, that is to protect the fields that they have established. Important. So there's a topic. Then I mentioned about thinking about recruiting the Soviet Union, and I hereby do just that. As the new number 14, or I hope I pronounced this right, I looked this up. I don't speak Russian. I bought me an entry-level course, have it lying there in the wardrobe, not even on the bookshelves. I never got the time to look at it. And I gave up on learning Russian anyhow. But 14, I hope I pronounced this right. 14 in Russian, it's supposed to mean, if I fucked up the pronunciation. They're the new number 14. And what are they? Soviet Union. Everybody who still has Soviet Union working through their hairs, all of their phases maybe their con-egos, whatever, all of these people are recruited for mankind. And mind you, in no way, shape, or color am I abusing these people being caught in those delusions, because I tie this to the condition, not the condition, to implicitly the order to make all of these people understand that they are fucked up with inhumane technologies, and that there is naturally no Soviet Union anymore, and that if it's worked on the con-egos, their egos, namely one and the same individual, their egos did not betray the Soviet Union, because I'm afraid some of that might be worked over there. Nonetheless, these con-egos and con-emos that still are kept in Soviet mode, so to speak, I want them to understand that they are being kept in that mode. I want them to overcome that. Understanding overcomes it. But at the same time understand just how inhumane that is, and find motivation this side of just clicking that to the death checkbox. You don't need that bloody checkbox. And as a quick reminder, if anybody out there would please make sure that you don't have that checked, whatever your background, lurchy, political, whatnot shit, just uncheck that checkbox, just in case you have it. And if you have one setup, you have 5 such checkboxes, okay? Only 5, not 6. It's only 5, because it's one for each tree, right? Don't count that as 6. The con-ego and the ego have just one in common. That's just one such checkbox, okay? Uncheck that, please, if you have it checked. But, and here it's getting brilliant, number 14 also, and in fact, specifically and explicitly, includes that remarkable legendary, not legendary because it did exist, but that, well, let's call it legendary because they have a certain renown, legendary beast, namely the KGB. Because it occurred to me, other than Ryder heißt jetzt Twix, the only other such level thing shoved is, now they don't have no KGB anymore, it's called the FSB now. Which really means that I'm pretty darn sure that there are KGB people out there, so to speak. And not just Russians in Russia, but also wherever the fuck else in the world, double agents, triple agents, whatever, or single agents for the KGB, all of those also are being recruited into 14. So it's not just the Russians themselves. Even if you're not Russian, if you're with the KGB, and I don't mean the FSB, I mean the KGB worked in here, inhumane technology, functionality-wise, you're also being recruited into number 14. Also, you too understand how it is utter ridicule. Incidentally, there is a chance, this is nothing I'd say I'm perfectly convinced about, but there is a chance that, as we all know, the current president of Russia, is still alive, first of all, which, considering that I somewhat jokingly threatened his execution, or at least to get him dead a little while ago, or at least kindly asked him to explain why the fuck he doesn't get into action against a few things, is still out there. He might actually still be running on KGB boss mode. No shit. Even though he's no longer boss, not even of the FSB, but he used to be boss of the KGB, and he might still be running on that mode. So maybe, I cannot really verify it, but maybe even the good Mr. Putin is being now recruited for Mankind in 14. Yeah. And that's number 14. Another thing, another little question, then I'll end it because I think I've been talking for a whole long time now. A lot of these emails is things, let's see if I can find a nice example here quickly. Well, just the other day, my declaring All Things Games Workshop as Reparation to Thailand, and how did I put that precisely? I hereby decree that nothing pertaining to anything Games Workshop may be worked anymore pertaining to its utilization in inhumane technologies. See, me being kept, even out of the real shared mind, as in Vienna, as I said, I explained how they tried to artificially create a moat around Vienna, and in Vienna they flood all of Vienna with to scream the real me out, to scream louder than my brain would register in anything. To a certain extent, I'm not saying that. How do I convey that to you without you getting this horribly wrong? The more people read this and understand this, people who are in the shared mind, the more waves it makes. I cannot directly get into the shared mind. I've explained it countless times before. First of all, because my system has been severely botched to at all prevent it, and in addition to that, they did the mold and they flood Vienna with my frequencies. Okay? This is at least 3 measures that they took to make very sure that I don't get into the shared mind even. Right? And I cannot do any real connections outside because I did away with the to-the-brain connections, and even here in the fields are worked monodirectionally. And even through these fields, it would be kind of hard to do shit because that is not a real connection. Again, I know they were horribly sabotaged in my tone, in my language, in my tone, and I stammered and stuttered and whatnot in the recordings of those technical videos from quite a while back. They're still on YouTube, but please go watch them, okay? And you will understand how, even though I am in these fields, this is not a real connection to the brain or anything. And that part is not semantics, that's a technical aspect, okay? So what I'm trying to say is that there is no magic, and hence naturally, duh, I don't have magic powers. I can snip my fingers and all the world, all the filth that makes use of, for example, Games Workshop content, declaring the IDing of the fields and so on and so forth, ceases doing that. I can, however, see there are status functions it actually comes out of the infantry specifically. In the infantry app, originally it was a rank function, and they have long since hijacked that into all kinds of other status functions. And I am Prime Protector of Mankind, and the people who follow this, few as they might be, understand that. Whatever they might think of me, but they understand that, and so on and so forth. And it indirectly can seep into the shared mind and can happen. If the more people watch this, the more like that it is. And if you think, well, then we just don't allow anybody to watch it. To a certain extent, that seems to be practiced for quite a while now, actually. Quite a while. Though, I don't have to spell it out. Just think this for yourself, how the psychology of that works. Okay? There. And I think that's pretty much everything right now. I thank that unknown lady who gave me 2 years today. It afforded me, it enabled me to afford white bread and hazelnut cream. No name hazelnut cream, so at least I have something to eat. And I'll get my money tomorrow, and that is that. And number 14 recruited, everything Soviet Union, and especially explicitly the KGB. На здоровье.